believe it's some kind of revelation that the Rectifier and 5150 are just Soldano clones. I mean, was anyone dumb enough to ever actually buy all three? Haha. That would be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Haha. I mean, you have your preferences, as I know. There are subtle differences, sure, but you'll only ever needed one of those amps.
Yeah, they'd have to be awfully dumb to own all three. Oh, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a good morning. It's Friday. I got my coffee. Just trying to get a bunch of stuff done over the next couple of days. Got a bunch of projects on the go. I think you guys are going to really like what's coming up on the show. Anyway, I thought we'd do something slightly different this week. Last week was an interesting episode, and it got a little nasty there, I think, on a lot of different fronts. Probably a lot of it has to do with my fault. I'll take the fucking blame for it. And I'm thinking, you know what? Mudslinging's a lot of fun, but it's like, I got this giant audience, that means you, and maybe I can try and do some good with it. So I thought I'd do something extremely rare here on viewers' comments, and just to do nothing but answer questions this episode. Wow, that's kind of really going against the grain on this show, but I figure, hey, what the hell? You know, we're 462 episodes in. Might as well try something new. So, yeah, here we go.
Hi, Glenn. Oh, speaker of truth. Could you take a look at the new Harley Benton ST Modern Range, please? They seem to be using a lot of American and Canadian woods, and it looks real well-built American alder body, neck roasted Canadian maple, fret laurel or Canadian maple, locking nuts, and Tesla pickups, all under 430 USD, less in the UK for me. Sorely tempted, but torn between that and Spectre. Love the channel, mate.
Well, hey, Ian, thank you very much. That's, I think, a really good request. That's something I think I want to investigate, because those videos are a lot of fun, and of course I'm talking about my stealth buy series. It's been a while since I've done one of those. I did that with a Harley Benton EX84. Turns out that was a good guitar. Did that with the Harley Benton Vertical Vintage 2x12, the Vintage 30 cabs. That was a really good cab, you know what? But I mean, like, it's been hit and miss with Harley Benton for me. Their active series of guitars were just fucking horrible. Like, they were the worst pieces of shit imaginable. Bad fretwork, bad electronics, just overall just terrible. And yet one of my favorite guitars is the $260 Goto Series SG that I keep featuring in so many freaking thumbnails. Oh yeah, this guitar right here. Yeah, this thing's just a beauty. This is one of my absolute favorite guitars. This guitar plays great. I can't believe it was so cheap. The stupid thing is they don't make them anymore, and I don't understand that. This was such a good guitar. I don't fucking get it. So yeah, you know what? I was taking a look at those. Harley Benton reached out and sent those to a lot of people. I don't know. I didn't get one. Might have had something to do with the fact that I smashed the living shit out of the Victory. So yeah, I think I am going to do a stealth buy, because tomorrow night I'm actually hanging out at a friend's place, and I think I'm going to order one of those guitars from there, so they aren't going to know which address they're sending to, or that it's actually going to me. So I'm going to get the consumer experience, and I can pass that on to you to see if, yes, indeed, we are getting a decent guitar, or if they really do give the YouTubers the top of the line guitars, and the rest of you guys just get whatever's left, and it's all the luck of the draw. That's a real fun series to do, and you guys seem to really respond to that. So anytime, you know, you see something dirt cheap and really cool, leave a suggestion below, because I would love to do more in the stealth buy series, because it's just way too much fun. Anyway, you got suggestions, I want to hear from you, leave them below.
Lately, Squier has been impressing the shit out of me, same with Epiphone. Why the hell would I buy a Fender or a Gibson when these brands play as well or better out of the box?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for you there. For what it's worth, every Epiphone I've played over the last couple of years has just been spectacular. And yeah, I would definitely recommend those over the Made in the USA Gibsons. Price to performance, you really can't beat them. I haven't played a Squier for a very long time. You know, when we was a teenager here in Windsor growing up, my best friend, he had a Fender Squier Strat, you know, the Tobacco Sunburst, just like KK Downing played in the Live Vengeance tape. And that was a cool fucking guitar. It was a Squier, and it was just absolutely badass. We loved that guitar. He wound up putting like a DiMarzio Super Distortion in it, because that's what the guys in Priest played. And I'm sure those guys sold an awful lot of pickups for DiMarzio, that's for sure. And yeah, it was a cool guitar. So I don't know. I haven't played a Squier in like, you know, 30 years. I'm showing my age here, but you guys tell me, are the Squiers worth taking a look at? Is that something you'd like to see on the show? Once again, I want to hear from you. But if you're in the market for an Epiphone, yeah, I really can't say anything bad about them.
Hey Glenn, I'm thinking about upgrading my monitors from the PreSonus Air 3.5 to Yamaha HS7 MP. Of course, I'm a musician, so I'm cheap. What do you think? By the way, fuck you, Glenn.
Well, hey, Floyden, thanks for writing in. Floyden's from the SMG Discord. I'll have a link for that in the description below. It's absolutely free to join. It's a great community. And I do like Sunday night fucking Counter-Strike hangouts with the guys and just try and jump in wherever I can. But it's an amazing community. It's absolutely free to join. All you got to do is hit the middle finger to get your role when you log in. So I'll leave a description for that. Hope to see you in there. But as for your question, I'm going to answer that with another question. Before you think about upgrading your studio monitors, what does your acoustic treatment in your mix room look like? And if you just answered that with what acoustic treatment, there's your problem right there. DIY bass traps are really easy to build. They don't cost a lot of money, and you don't even have to mount them permanently. You can just lean them up in a corner and stack them, and they'll help out your mixing immensely. I'd say start with that before you think about upgrading your monitors. And if you do want to upgrade your monitors, I'd say check out the Kali LP6s, the LP8s, the LP UNFs, and the big black balls. I forget what the hell they're called, but they're amazing. Kali's got a whole bunch of different monitors that fit all kinds of budgets. The UNFs are really fucking good, actually. They're tiny, they don't take up a lot of space, and they really kick out the jams, that's for sure. So I'd say take a look at those, but first and foremost, acoustic treatment. Learn how to build bass traps. You'll thank me.
Does the Solar have a crack on the fretboard yet? How long have you had it? Have any of your other Solar guitars have a crack on the fretboard yet?
What is it with the Solars and cracked fretboards? Does this happen a lot, or does it happen once or twice and then everybody goes ape shit on Facebook and socials? No, everybody's always calm on Facebook and socials and doesn't overreact at all. But to answer your question, I've had this Solar for a couple of years now, I think. When did I get this? 2022, something like that? And I haven't found any cracks in the fretboard. This guitar has just been rock fucking solid. Yeah, this is the Cannibalismo V. Oh, it's freaking sick. I really, really, really like this guitar. And yeah, no issues whatsoever with this. And I've also got this 6-string multi-scale. Oh, it's so nice. It plays so great. And absolutely no issues with the fretboard on this one either. It's a conspiracy, man. I saw something on a Facebook metal group that said these fretboards cracked. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It probably does. I mean, like, shit happens, you know, shit gets dried out. I mean, like, if your fretboard's cracking, don't store it near an air duct. I cracked one of my guitars back in my college days because I put mine next to a blower in a fucking basement apartment, and boy, did I ever regret doing that. But so, yeah, it really does depend on that. So make sure if you are storing your guitar in a case or something like that, you know, maybe put a little bit of moisture pack in there or something like that to keep the humidity levels correct on your instrument. Back in the day, I'd grab some paper towels and a film storage canister, like a little 35 millimeter film storage canister. You guys remember what that is? And you know, wet those and stuff it in there and punch a couple holes in it and just throw that in my guitar case, and that would keep things at the appropriate humidity level. You can buy things from guitar stores, of course, that'll do that, but I mean, like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal to find a little plastic container about yay big, and just some wet paper towels and a couple holes should do the trick. Try that if you are worried about your guitars cracking. Worked out great for me, that's for sure. Your mileage may vary, but it's definitely not going to cost you a lot to have a solution to that issue. As for all of my Solars, no, I don't have any problems with guitars cracking because I do keep correct humidity levels in here. That is a thing.
So any episode of Stupid Musician Text planned? Sub for that like 5 years ago and it's been an attorney since the last one. Are you telling me the world has run out of stupid musicians?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about doing another one. I mean, like, it's not that the world's run out of stupid musicians. It's just they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over again endlessly and don't seem to learn. So, I don't know. Maybe if I can get some more texts, maybe I can put an episode in. People have kind of stopped sending them to me. And, you know, I didn't want the show was never actually about stupid musicians. It was always a lot of fun to do that. But I just noticed, you know, it was getting less and less and less popular. So I figured, you know, why put all that effort into it if nobody's going to watch it? So that being said, if you guys would like to see another episode, send a few to me if you'd like them shared on the show. I could probably do another episode. Yeah, it has been ages. I think the last one I did was in like 2019 or something like that. So yeah, send some stupid musician texts. I'll throw it up. What the hell? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what it'll do. Yeah, we should never stop making fun of dumb musicians. And in the interest of having a Goodwill episode for a change, there's no actual butthurt of the week. Like I said, I just want to be super helpful and answer some questions. So let's just continue on. And oh yeah, by the way, go grab a copy of Element Bass over at Spectre Digital and get yourself a mix like this. Really, for $100, how can you go wrong? It is the most awesome crushing bass tone you're ever going to get in software. You just can't go wrong. Go get your copy today. If you haven't got it, it will give you amazing bass tone. Anyway, moving on.
There's one thing I'm very curious about. Did you choose the Neve console as a business choice with the hope that investment actually will pay for it by increasing your productivity? Or did you choose it just because you enjoy working with it, but know that you'll not get the money back? Both answers are, of course, okay, but I'm very curious about your answer.
Okay, the reason I chose it is because I went to go visit Neve last summer and they sat me down and let me play around with it. I started mixing. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much faster. Here's the thing. I mean, like I'm in here, 12, 14, 16 hour days, that kind of thing. And anything that can help me do my job faster is definitely worth the investment. I mean, yeah, this wasn't cheap. It's like I said, I've always said that Stevie T, bought a McLaren, beautiful car, and that's great, but he can only use it half the year. I'm a bit of a Corvette fan. I was looking at Corvettes, maybe something like that, or, maybe something a little more exotic, like a Lotus or something like that. Like, that'd be super cool. However, in Canada, you can only drive those like half the year, so I just don't see the logic in it. So I figured instead of dropping money into a car, why not get something I'm going to use every single day, and it's going to improve my quality of life. That's why I got this. Now, does everybody need a Neve console? Absolutely not. Is there an improvement in sound quality? Probably, yes. I still need to do the follow-up to the Neve versus Reaper shootout, and that's pretty interesting because I'm probably going to do another one in a year or two and pull up some of my old Reaper mixes, and then, with some experience with the board and see how much better results I get. But in the short term, yes, I think there was a shift. I'll do some null tests and we can see what's going on with the differences and whatnot. But ultimately, though, it does allow me to do my job quicker. And when I'm doing things like doing the mixes there for the Marshall versus the Bugera amp, there were like 4 different mixes going on there, and just being able to swap out the different guitar bits, get those levels perfect, and print all those mixes, that would have taken me probably all day with Reaper, and I was able to do that in maybe an hour with the Neve, or even less than that, actually. Because I originally printed them out as MP3s first, and I'm like, oh, fuck! So then I had to print them out again. So yeah, that did take me an hour. Probably would have taken me half an hour if I had just done it properly the first time, but shit happens. When it really comes down to it, to answer your question, the best way I can put it is this. I've certainly got no regrets, that's for sure. And the ultimate goal here is maybe do a label project or two with this, because I think that might be an awful lot of fun. We'll see what happens. I'd still really love to do somebody like Fu Manchu or something like that. I think that'd be really fucking cool. And for those of you guys who shouted out where to get in touch with Fu Manchu, thank you. I still got to run that down. I'm going to have some time off in a week, and I'm probably going to do that then. So thanks again.
Glenn, just wanted your opinion. I recently acquired a turntable and I've jumped headfirst into the vinyl record thing. What's your opinion on vinyl in 2024?
I have always dug vinyl. I really like vinyl. I just like the whole experience, pull out an album, the whole gatefold and just ritual of, mounting it and getting it going and all that kind of stuff. It's cool. It's a completely different vibe than Spotify. Speaking of Spotify, I really do need to do a piece on the asshole that runs that company. Oh, production of music, it costs nothing these days. It's like, go fuck yourself, you damned bottom feeder. What an absolute scumbag. Fuck that guy. Yeah, okay, so fuck Spotify. Vinyl is definitely fucking cool. The great thing is there's a bit of a resurgence going on. I think that's cool. Like, you walk around Queen Street in Toronto, there's a couple of record shops. There's a fucking fantastic record shop in downtown Windsor called Dr. Disc. It's been there since the 80s. I remember it was next to the main bus stop where you transfer, like, from going downtown to go out to the mall. So we'd always go into Dr. Disc, and for a real laugh, we'd go into the punk section and just look at all the band names on the albums because we thought that was hilarious. They always had the best fucking band names. And, the great thing is they're still there and they've got a huge collection of vinyl. So if you're ever in the Windsor, Ontario area, check out Dr. Disc. And if you ever want to get vinyl pressed, I actually did a trip out to a vinyl processing plant there a number of years ago in the Netherlands. We went to Leeuwarden and we went to the Deep Grooves vinyl manufacturing place. Fucking fantastic. What an amazing setup. That was such a cool video to do. I'm so glad I got to visit and check it out and see what it's all about. That's definitely a whole thing, and I've got massive respect to it. If you're looking to get your digital recording mastered for vinyl, go check out my friends at Lacquer Channel Mastering in Toronto, Ontario. Talk to Noah Mintz. Tell him Glenn Fricker sent you. He's a buddy. I've known him for a very, very long time, and he'll do your record justice. That's for sure. Oh yeah, they did Rush 2112 there as well, so there is that.
But what if I don't want a boring Strat shape? Do they have anything affordable in a V or Explorer shapes?
Oh, they used to make an affordable V, but I don't think they do anymore. You're talking about Schecter, of course. That's kind of unfortunate. The only people I can see making a really cheap V these days are S by Solar and Jackson. And I've had a few people ask about the Jackson Vs. I think I might do a stealth buy on a Jackson at some point and see if I can get one of the cheap Vs in and see what it's all about. I think that's going to be worth taking a look at. Once again, I have to remind you guys, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do, so you get notified when that comes out. Yeah, the stealth buy series needs to become a regular thing, I think, on this show. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be an awful lot of fun.
Can you make a video in a year or so again about that Bugera? I heard horror stories about them breaking way faster, and even a friend of mine had to return his Bugera after some time. Sound-wise, they're amazing, but I wonder how reliable they are. And since my all-time favorite tube amp also broke after a year and a half, I'm a bit hesitant about buying a Bugera.
That's a fair request. I can certainly do that. I'll hang on to that amp, and yeah, I'll revisit it in a year. For what it's worth, that amp is 9 years old, and they don't make that one anymore. So chances are, if you do find one that's working on the used market, it's probably one of the good ones. Just make sure you look for amps that are in the quote-unquote Infinium series. That's what you're looking for. Those are apparently the better built ones.
Glenn, how do the speakers compare at lower volume levels? Do they converge, or do the frequency responses keep the flavor to the same extent? I'm a bedroom player, i.e. usually low volume.
The speakers are definitely way different from type to type at lower volumes. Interestingly enough, I found this years ago when I did a video recording at low, medium, and high volumes. The mid-range does get a little bit more pronounced from speaker to speaker. I found that years ago, and I found that again doing my Plexi shootout video, which was pretty interesting as well, because those amps were playing absolutely crank. Interestingly enough, the 50 watt amps had a much more top end going on than the 150 one, and that's probably because the speaker's being pushed harder and the mid-range tends to kind of flatten things out a little bit. But speakers are still going to be the deciding factor in your guitar tone, even at low volumes. Keep that in mind. And for any kind of verification on that, just get an amp sim and try swapping out different impulse responses of different cabinets. Okay, another one from the SMG Discord. Check this out.
Hey Glenn, hope you're well, and I hope this reaches you. I am experimenting when mixing and recording heavy guitars with quad tracking, and wondering if there's a rule of thumb when panning. I usually pan rhythm guitars 100 left, 100 right, and lead guitar left, 45 left, right, with the solos up the middle.
Okay, yeah, it goes on and on and on. Yeah, that works. I usually do my left rhythm tracks 100% left and right, and then the next one's probably 75 to 80% left and right, and then leave a nice big space in the middle there for the drums, bass, and vocals and leads. So try that and see how that works out for you. Your mileage may vary. The trick is to experiment, make a few different recordings, make a couple mixes, sit on for a couple days, come back and listen and say, okay, which one did I like best? That's the system I've used for the last 20 years. Seems to be working out pretty good so far. Okay, this next one is really fucking long, so I'm just gonna kind of skip ahead to the actual question because there's just like this fucking wall of text here. And this is from Ryan Switzer. Hey, Ryan.
My question is actually regarding the dual rectifier and 5150 video and your claim that they sound the same. Firstly, given the clips showed, I completely agree they're near indistinguishable. That said, you also referenced Jim Little videos and the specific video where he explores where the tone comes from in an amp, as I'm sure you recall, is by defeating the EQ section of amps, blah, 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 blah. In your shootout, you mentioned that by cranking the mid knob and on the dual rectifier, you made the two amps functionally identical. If we consider that the EQ is where the majority of the tone difference comes from in the amp, could these two amps also not sound wildly different from one another due to the fact that their EQ sections are likely voiced differently?
Okay, that was the question I wanted to answer. It goes on at great length. If you want to see what that was, fucking Ziz could full screen it and you can pause it there and read out the whole thing. Now, this is the important part here, and I think this is where you see the difference between guitar players and engineers. Okay, yes, the 5150 and Rectifier can sound wildly different. Nobody is claiming otherwise. However, when you dial the amps in for recording, and this is the important part. Remember the part where you first mic'd up your amp and it doesn't sound anything like what it sounds like out in the room, and you're wondering how to get it to sound good? Yeah. That's the part I'm concerned about here. When we dial the amp in for recording, that's when we have the drums and bass going and we're listening to the track and we dial the amp in. Okay, we get into what scientists call the earth being in the Goldilocks zone. And this is the same kind of thing for what a guitar amp is going to be. And that's where you tone down the bass and extreme treble a little bit and get the guitar to sit more in the mid-range, because you have to get that guitar to function in the context of a mix. Otherwise, it's not going to sound good. Your mix is going to sound weak. It's going to sound thin and bassy all at the same time. It's going to be really fucked up and it's going to sound like crap. The thing is, when we get those guitars into that zone where they work in the context of a mix, that is where the differences between the amps tends to shrink significantly. I think that's the simplest way I can put that. Yes, we can dial the amps in to be wildly different, but if we want them to work on a record, no, we have to tame them a little bit. And that's where the differences between the 5150 and the Rectifier tend to shrink. This is nothing new. This is something we all discovered on the Andy Sneap forum way back in about 2006. Those threads are still online there if you want to do a little homework, if you want to do a little digital archaeology, if you will, and check that out, where a bunch of us were like, holy fuck, these really do sound similar. Because I remember doing the exact same thing, you know, working with 5150 and Rectifier. Like, once you actually mic them up and you're working with them in the context of a mix, it's like, damn, dude, these aren't very different at all. There's a slight different bit of flavor, but it's not a case of chocolate versus vanilla. One's like chocolate and the other one's like chocolate chip. You know what I mean? It's just slightly different. Do what you will with that information. Hopefully it's helpful. And of course, before you said the sounds in the speaker, Glenn. Yes. The great thing about speakers is they will get you a completely different voiced sound that will work in that usable zone as well. I don't know why so many guitar players insist on fighting me about the speaker thing. It's not like I'm trying to give you bad advice.
Didn't Iron Maiden use something like Gallien-Krueger combo amps from somewhere in time? That's my favorite Iron Maiden album. I know the overall sound was enhanced with guitar synths as well, but the point, they made a great metal album with amps I never heard of until about 10 years ago when I saw a guy trying to emulate the sound of that album and also one of those amps on a YouTube video.
Okay, I'm just going to compact that down. Yes, the amp in question was the Gallien-Krueger 250ml. Phenomenal amp. I actually had one for a number of years. And yeah, just a great amp. The thing is, though, you had to plug it into a good cabinet because those speakers on it absolutely fucking sucked. Again, I owned that amp. I knew it intimately, and I remember not being too impressed with it until I went to a jam space and I plugged it into my buddy's Marshall cab, and the amp just roared to life. I was like, "What is this? This is amazing!" You know, I like that amp to a certain extent, but then Gallien-Krueger came out with the MLE. And I've still got that amp. I need to do a video on it. And I've got a Gallien-Krueger preamp sitting over here in my bookcase here. And I got to do a video on that. That's been like 3 years overdue. And the guy who lent it to me is like, Glenn, you ever going to do that video? Yes, I'm going to do that video. I just need to get it done at some point. That's going to be a fun one. Yeah, we should do a little bit of a deep dive into that and see what that was all about. Yeah, the Gallien-Krueger stuff was great. It's a real shame they don't make guitar stuff anymore. They just do bass stuff, and they haven't really done guitar stuff probably in 20 years because, I don't know, people just didn't, it didn't take off, which is a real shame because I thought they were pretty unique sounding, especially for solid state stuff. They were just really cool amps. Big fan of the GK stuff, and yeah, if you can ever come across a 250ml, grab it. They're fucking killer. Just get a good cabinet. Again, sound is in the speaker.
I have a question about the reamp boxes. In one of your OG videos, plus a comment on this one, mentioned they only have to record the guitar once and then you can reamp them. But I've noticed that every time I reamp the track twice for left and right channels, they tend to do some weird phase cancellation. Am I doing something wrong? I still track two guitars because it gives me less issues, but it would be awesome to record perfect tape and reamp that twice. Cheers from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, what you want to do is you want to do two individual tracks and reamp those. That way you can change the sound or the mic position or anything like that. You still have to do the individual takes. The great thing is if you want to change the tone, you've got your safety net and you can run that through the reamp yet again. Yeah, I think what you were trying to do is, just do the track once and then pan it left or right. Yeah, that's not going to work. You still have to do the individual takes. Sorry for the confusion there, man. But have fun with reamping. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. That's for sure. And oh yeah, right, yeah. If you want to get into reamping, yeah, United replay box. Oh yeah, this is the stuff right here. This is the one you want. And no, they're not paying me to say that either.
I have a question. I'm interested in a tube amp, but I'm curious as to where you would get the tubes to replace if by chance one craps out.
Well, there's all kinds of places you can get them on Amazon. There's a couple online shops, like the Tube Store and whatnot. Just don't go down the rabbit hole of reading their descriptions because they're all based on bullshit. They're going to give you things like, oh, it's got a warm mid-range and a sparkly top end. It's all fucking absolute nonsense. Get some fucking tubes. JJ's will probably do you absolutely fine. Don't spend a lot of money on it. Like I said, don't fall for the new old stock bullshit. Okay, tubes are tubes. They either work or they don't. That's it. Some might be a little hotter than others in your preamp stages, but there's no magical properties to vacuum tubes. Just don't spend a lot of money on it. And if you did, well, you got taken for a ride. Sorry about your luck. Nobody likes to fucking waste their money. I get the resistance about that being told, hey, guess what? You got ripped off. But yeah, you probably got ripped off. Remember, shop smart, shop S-smart.
Super off topic, but I love your videos. What's your script writing process?
Hey, Carlos, thanks for writing in. Basically, wake up, go for a walk, come home, make coffee, and just start writing. I've always written ever since I was a little kid. I originally wanted to be a sci-fi author. I tried a little bit in high school, didn't really go that far with it. Who knows, maybe one day I'll return to something if I can ever get an interesting idea. But when it comes to writing stuff about guitars and pro audio and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'll probably grab a coffee. I might go sit in my big bay window in my house and, right there for a couple hours. I'll come out here and top away and try and get something done without getting completely distracted by the internet and all the charms therein. And, it's just a process. Sometimes a script will get done in a few hours. Sometimes it'll be a couple of days. Like I spent, I think, 3 days on that Bugera shootout script and just refined because I wanted to keep you guys interested. I want to keep you guys engaged. And yeah, the watch time on that video went through the fucking roof. So you guys did get it. A few guys bitched, oh, you get to the point. But truth is, most of you guys want to be entertaining. You want a good story. So I figured it was a good time to introduce the world to the concept of the Tillbilly. But, it just, whatever, when I get going, I get going. It's kind of like a snowball, and it doesn't stop until it's done. I'm very fortunate in that way. Some people suffer from writer's block for whatever reason. When I get going, it just fucking keeps going, and it's great. And I can really prolifically write consistently. So, and I think that's been one of the reasons this channel's been so successful, is because I can write like that and just fucking sit there and script. And as of late, though, I gotta say, one thing I have been doing, though, has been throwing my scripts into AI just to kind of refine them, to make them a little bit easier to read off a teleprompter, and that seems to be working out pretty well too. Viewers' comments is completely off the cuff, but a lot of the scripted videos, yeah, I will work with a teleprompter, and I've still got a really bad habit of going off script. I always do that, and I think in the entire almost 10 years here on YouTube, I've managed to make it through a teleprompter read without fucking up only once in 10 years. It happens, but hey, that's what it is. All right. Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching the show. I hope you found it enjoyable. I hope you found it useful. And if you do, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I can't promise it's going to be this way all the time. Viewers' comments has never been about being an echo chamber, and it's not been about telling you what you want to hear. It's about being honest and me being honest with you. And sometimes that takes us into some weird tangents, but it is what it is. Anyway, those who have stuck with the show for all these years, I am absolutely grateful to you. You guys absolutely fucking rock. And stick around for next week. We're going to have an awful lot of fun. And I think we're going to take another look at that rough V. You guys requested that I remove all the effects from that video, so I think that's what we're going to do. That should be coming out sometime middle of the week. Should be an awful lot of fun. For those of you who got pissed off and clicked off, it's a good video. Just, this time, yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier to watch, I think. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Till then, fuck off! You can take a look. So, any episode of Stupid description below. Fuck! This is kind of, that's how, do that with what you will. I don't know why guitar players insist on fighting. Your mom's paying me to say that. Let's see here.